To all of us white people who are fervently fighting Trump's fascist takeover of this nation, and we should be, don't get me wrong, I believe we all owe an apology to the Black community because they have actually been fighting this in their communities for 40 years. The brutal over-policing that came with the war on drugs that really laid the groundwork for what we're seeing right now with ICE. And the fear that's looming over us, the Black community has lived under this. They have seen the dark underbelly of the American empire, obviously long before the war on drugs, slavery and Jim Crow, but they have watched it morph into this modern authoritarian police state and the mass incarceration. But for most white people, it's been out of sight, out of mind. I mean, these ICE raids don't look a whole lot different than the SWAT team raids on our inner cities in the 90s. So we're doing the right thing, fighting to keep this nation alive, don't get me wrong, but we're sort of the fair weather fans here. So we really need to give credit where credit is due and acknowledge the amazing resistance that the Black community has put up for a very long time.
He behaves as someone who is not only intimidated by Black power and Black leadership, he wants to do everything in his power to prevent it from fully being exercised.
Black mayors of several Democratic cities across the U.S. are sounding the alarm on President Trump's threats to deploy the National Guard to their cities.
When you walk down the street, you're going to see police or you're going to see FBI agents. We will bring in the military if it's needed.
After deploying 800 National Guards in D.C. this week to curb crime, President Trump has specifically called out Baltimore, New York City, Oakland, California, and Chicago as cities that could be next. This despite all these cities seeing a decline in crime year over year.
What exactly would happen if the president continues to have this unchecked power and he has National Guards in some of the biggest cities across the country?
President Trump and his ilk have not accepted the results of the Civil War, and they want a rematch.
The president is trying to distract Americans away from things that he should be talking about, like the U.S. economy that's been on a supersized roller coaster since he's been in office.
The White House said in a statement, there is nothing divisive about cracking down on crime, adding Democrat-run cities plagued by violent crime should focus on cleaning up their own streets.
Violence is not a partisan issue. Bullets do not care what party you are, what color you are. This has to cease from being a partisan issue and being an American issue.
So over and over, Donald Trump has always proven to be one of the Black or fascist person that hates other races other than white. So recently, we know what happened. Donald Trump, when he made comment on a live televisions about why he thinks he'll allow the migrants back to America, back to work in those farmland. So the guy highlighted that, he wanted people in the inner city or inner states to actually work in those fields. But these people, they don't work in the field. And to make matters worse, he said he doesn't care when the other race, the Hispanic, the Mexican, those migrants that work in the field, if they get hurt or if they die. Why I'm saying this is that when he was giving his long unnecessary speech, he talked about, when these people, they break back, they die. It means that this guy, it's there are kind of way where these American farmers treat these migrants who work in the field. They treat them like nothing. They treat them like people who have just come to earn and die. And, I've watched this video if you watched this video that I've highlighted, is that Donald Trump had, the blacks. Because as it was highlighted, those cities whose actually Donald Trump, said they are going to send military next to try to clean the American city, the American DC, out of gangs, out of people using drug. Basically, all these are black cities. You know, so while black have in recent times they have they have not been involved in many issues. They're fighting, they're for their living. They're trying to do things their own way. They don't want to fight the states. But who Trump is going, but Trump is going for them. Let's talk about all the music dances, all the protests that has been having in America. Americans have devised ways to actually now they are calling it music dances, because when I think the social media, the main media is trying to censor all these issues and not giving it to the public to know what's really happening in the field. So no King campaign. There were no blacks. When there were protests in LA, in California, there were no blacks. Blacks have decided to mind their own business, but now Donald Trump is, going against them. And this is the man that is destroying the country. So what do you feel about Donald Trump going against those black-lived counties, black-lived cities?